All right, and we're back. And I had actually recorded about 20 minutes or so, and Ableton crashed, and I'm on my laptop and realized that I didn't have the most recent version of OBS, which doesn't have a pause button. Ugh. Ableton crashes. Yeah, story of my life. But we're back, and so this is where we picked up from where we last left off. I went with the dark and dirty beat rack that we made with the last sketch, as I'm trying to do this thing where I'm continuing on from a little piece of sound from the last sketch. So anyway, right now what I've got here, I pulled in from the last sketch, I've got the saturator effect that I automated everything from, and I am pulling sound from the beat from this group here, and using the gate sidechain effect here, you can pull, as you've seen me do many times, sound from just about any group from any track, which is super powerful. And then I've got it running through these effects, and the reason why is because I wanted to utilize all the automations from the last sketch just on the saturator, because I automated so many things. And then I have, after this this group that I'm siphoning into this gate effect here, I've got this gate effect back on the beat, which pulls audio, if you can believe it, from this track here. So you basically can take sound from at any point in an effects chain and move it over into another track and then pull it back into the chain to continue down. And the reason why you'd want to do that, like for example, the same, what I'm doing here is I've got all these automations, and so basically if you want to use a bunch of automations from a previous track, you can pull that in. You just find wherever, whichever track in whatever sketch, and you could just drag that in and drop it, and then just kind of use the automations there. I wish you could have automations on racks somehow, and save the rack and then pull the rack in. But unfortunately, automations only work with whole tracks. So, it's always some caveats. All right, so that took a little long to just pull that in. It was more than I thought it would be. So what I was going to do is I had dropped this resonator in here so that we could hear, to make sure that we were getting some sound coming through our siphon section here. And it sounded like we are definitely getting some sound. And I think I wanted to automate this note and have it kind of go up and down a little bit. So let's prep it. Something is amiss here. Probably have some kind of overlaying. Yeah, I had another hotkey that was loaded in the background, and I was accidentally firing that thing off. It's the only thing with auto hotkeys is things can get pretty squirrely, and you kind of have to be careful that you don't, have too many things overlapping and going on at once. So, okay. Let's get our little ticker tool here. Cool. I'm just going to double check really quick, make sure everything is recording. Looking good. Hopefully the levels are okay. I mean, I'm obviously not going for any awards here. That is not the point. This is supposed to be just kind of an exercise for me and a way to have some fun. I mean, there definitely still are a few things I'd like to do right and with decent quality. But I don't go back and re-edit or do any post-production on any of these. It's all just push record and hope for the best. So if things are a little rough, that's why. But I think that's okay. I think it's good to fly by the seat of your pants and learn to be impromptu. It's a little frightening. But that's just the way it goes. Cool. Okay, so, you know, one thing we could do, I guess it helps have these clips playing to hear something. And I haven't actually tried this yet, so I don't know what, you know, this will actually, if it will work, or, but I wanted to put a wet and dry on our siphon section. Yeah, beat siphon. They're pretty much everything in between this you're not going to hear. We could have all kinds of effects in there. So I think that basically we'll just get a half and half split, you know, with this at 50%. At 0%, I don't think we'll hear any of these effects. Yeah, so if we have this resonator on, cool. So yeah, that works. Good to know for future reference. Go ahead and pull this all the way up. All right now it's sounding pretty zany. Well, here, we'll call this siphon effects wet dry. I mean, the kind of routing capabilities with this audition here, this function just opens up so much insanity inside of Ableton. Most people would not have thought to use that in this way, but I think that it's siphon effects 1. But I think it's worth exploring and experimenting with. Awesome. And we could play with a bit of a feedback loop, which, you know, sometimes it can be a little risky, but we could take the audio from the end of this track here and pull it into here, so we get essentially a wet and dry or a feedback. Now this could be, it could either be good or bad. We will see. In fact, it makes me want to make sure there's a limiter. Yeah, we definitely have a limiter on our master. I keep that in my template. I think that's always a good idea. So let me just double check real quick here, make sure the levels on the project are coming through okay. Looks like for the most part. Before attempting any kind of feedback loop, I have to turn this little headphones doohickey on. Yep. Before attempting any crazy feedback, you definitely want to make sure you got all your limiters set up. And so definitely this is a thing that we only want to pull on like every now and then, because it's essentially running feedback that basically the end of this track through from this point through this effect and this effect. And I think if we move this gate over here, we'll get even crazier stuff. So as long as this mix is 0, you don't have any of this audition coming through. Yeah, I figured if it was going to go through this saturator, it would be even crazier. We can also turn this gain down, which, you know, helps with controlling some of the feedback. Yeah, just weirdness. And I think a lot of it is to do with this resonator affecting the feedback. So let's prep this knob for automation here. Cool. Let's record a little bit of that. And we could also automate this this filter. It's nice that you do at least, you can also filter the auditioned audio. Sometimes the feedback can be so high-ended and harsh and high-end. I think it's nice to kind of roll it off. We could obviously add an EQ8 or auto filter here to filter some of it, but since we've got this filter built in here, and then might as well use that. Yeah, this mix all the way up, I do feel like we get... So we have sound coming from here. It's going through the gate because we have this mix set mostly down to 0. And then also we're pulling audio from the end of this dark and dirt. So it's a lot of, squirrely, intense routing. But, So I think I liked it better when we had this gate here, not being affected by this saturator. I think it's a little more manageable, doesn't get as crazy as quickly. And if you know how to work envelopes and things, you can really make feedback into a really nice, almost percussive and rhythmic sounding. And that's kind of what I want to try here and see if this does anything. Sort of. You can sort of hear it messing with the feedback. And if I move this here, I'm curious if we'll get any different result. I think it's great to... Yeah, I think if we set this to the beat, not that we have much of a noticeable beat going on here. So now I want to pull in or just make a really simple rhythmic structure just to see if our feedback loop is in fact tempo matching up to the beat. I would assume it is, since we don't have anything in here that's causing major latency. And let's see, dark, dirty post effects. Yeah, so we just look at the feedback. If we do post effects, we can still turn the volume of it down, but the feedback should also still persist. If we did post mixer, the feedback would be affected by this mixer knob here. So knowing the difference between pre-effects, post effects, I mean, it's spelled out for you pretty much, but it took me a little while to, because I'm not super bright up front. Takes me a little while of experimentation usually to figure stuff out. Everyone's different, and we all go at our own pace, and there should be no pressure. Society puts enough of that nasty pressure on us as it is, and I think that we should be able to escape all that and go into sketchland or artland or whatever, and forget about all that crap. Got like a cheesy slap bass thing going on there. Yeah, feedback is it's a beauty and a beast, and it can be really awesome if you can tame it just right, which I'm kind of now at this point feeling a little questy that I want to try and actually see if we can get anything out of this if I put also another and make the that might cut the volume too much and cause our feedback to not be able to survive. It can take a lot of time just dialing in feedback properly. Also, dropping in limiters along the way is not a bad idea. It at least caps. And what I think I'm going to do next is I'm going to route the dark and dirty beat track through. I wish Ableton had a built-in dynamic EQ that we could use. Maybe they'll wise up and add one of those. It's such a useful, popular effect now. So I want to route the audio from this dark and dirty through this MIDI and try to do some more effects, because right now all the effects happening in here are part of the feedback loop, and I want to bypass that. And do a little bit more. We could try adding these effects into the feedback loop itself. And that might, you know, it might lend some interesting results. I mean, let's go ahead and try it. There's an interesting beat thing happening between this dark and dirty and this just basic biatch kick thing, which, you know, we could obviously switch up, or we could change it up a little bit, add in some something different. Let's see what these sound like together. I did like that initial click. That little tweeting almost sounds like when you turn off certain analog gear, and the power drain sound has like a special kind of sound to it. Or if you've got a dying battery. I do, you know, I don't much care for a lot of techno, but when it's really slow and, you know, it can be kind of interesting. We might get rid of the bird chirp on the kick in a little bit. In fact, oh yeah, I need to. Probably should add a note probability gate. It's like, you know, you spend several hours building something, and it's almost like you kind of want to just use it a ton. I did spend a lot of time building that thing, but it was all worth it. It's gotten so much use over the years. Let's see if we pull the, do we have a probability gate on this? We animated it, that's right. I think I need to pull it down more to let more notes through. Less probability, more durability. So, it's more sections of 0 probability applied. So So adding this EQ in here definitely did a bit of taming. We could scale it down. Let's see. Maybe add this before the limiter. Yeah. We could also automate this scale so that we, you know, get a little bit more variety in terms of when we are taming the high end of the feedback loop. And if we pull this up, we'll definitely hear way more insanity in the feedback loop. Part of me wants to try to do some animate. Oh, I see. Let me go ahead and pull this on back onto the grid a little bit. God forbid we get some stupid crash, but actually I do want to pull it on the grid a little bit more for a certain reason of having the scale kind of do things to the beat. I'm not sure what this will sound like. Could be pretty dumb, but it could also be... Because I've given it an odd length too, we're gonna get some off rhythms anyway. Yeah, our looks like we're getting some cutouts. Of course, because I'm weird and I have to you know, throttle the CPU, and part of that reason is too the fan on this MacBook. You know, and I love my MacBook, but the fan can be so loud, unfortunately. So we can obviously find ways to you know, pull out some of the effects. And that's actually kind of interesting. Try to see if we can get any. And a lot of the cutouts too also, you know, when we're automating stuff, that takes CPU. It's interesting once you throttle what, you know, you start to notice, you know, what uses juice and what doesn't. But it's a, you know, it's an interesting trick to try and learn to build things very efficiently. And I can also pull out some of the voices from in here. We've got a lot of stuff that's getting lost in the effect from our beat layer here. We've got a lot of little sounds that maybe we don't even really need. I'm curious what it'll sound like if I just keep the kick here. And wish I had taken the time to label these better, but you know, we'll save that for a rainy day. Yeah, the feedback is definitely quite intense. I think having this EQ on really helped. And I want to take a low pass on it. I mean, EQ is basically just a really fancy filter, if you ask me. So, you know, why not animate it if it sounds good? Not all EQ plugins are made to sound great when automated, but to me that's what separates good instruments from good, well-built plugins from terrible ones, and that's like how well they automate. If you get clicks and zippery kind of noises, well, then it's probably not really coded well. And a lot of coders think, you know, you're not going to need to automate an EQ. You just, most types of music, it's true, you do just set the knobs and you kind of leave it, you know, and you don't really want to do much shaping or sculpting. Honestly, I think, I kind of think, you know, as sound designers, if we're not moving a bunch of knobs all at once, you know, we're not doing our job completely. Now, I am starting to really, really like some of the bizarre, metally, feedbacky kind of, and adding this like low pass, which I think I want to have a sharper low pass, and maybe give it a little more Q. Yeah, so that way we're going to get a lot more nuttiness. And let's see if I go ahead and just automate this. Sorry about the dropouts. I think partly, you know, I did the last sketch on the tower PC, and I didn't build the thing, you know, very efficiently for yeah, if we automated this on, anyways, yeah, I pulled in some stuff from the last sketch that was already just using so much juice out the gate. But I think, you know, if we just turned off some of this stuff, we will probably, like, I don't know, we don't even need that in there. Save ourselves a lot of CPU cycles. Put a nice little reverb, give it some space. It's very minimal. Sounds like a minimal. You could really get a lot out of one operator. I mean, sometimes for quickness, I'll just use a bunch of different operators. But if we mess around with like pitch and you can get a lot more mileage. And by that I mean, considering, you know, our CPU limits that we've set for ourselves. I am working on the wrong one. Let's see, white noise. What do we sound like now? Okay. Yeah, and you just automate and let that do a lot of the heavy lifting. Cool, let's go ahead and animate some of this decay in here. It's kind of a funky, I don't know, there almost has like garage elements to it with that feedback loop that's kind of turned into almost a bass line of sorts. Sweet, and I definitely wanted to jump between of the waveform of noise and sines. I think if we played with the bass, the kick, yeah, it's so bouncy now at this point. It's like, how can you not party with this? It's a slow, absurd party track. Oh, I do love this operator. Ay, 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 ay. Feel like I messed something up on it, but maybe it was this. What did I mess up? Hitting the hotkeys, and the next thing I know, something's all messed up with my kick. Well, I'm gonna try to hit undo until we get back to where we were. Oh, I think I pulled it off of the. How did that happen? Gosh. Hotkeys with a mind of their own almost. Definitely feels like it could use some kind of, melodic thing. Some chords, maybe. Cheesy ass, So silly, but what can you do? Sometimes you just got to get silly and cheesy with it, but we can always transform it with a bunch of automation. Yeah, we got to definitely. Very dubby. Now you can see as I'm dragging on it, it's using so much juice. So if we basically turn off, a lot of it is this feedback loop. We have so much routing happening that honestly it's and a lot of the you know, the effects and things obviously use a ton of so, you know, we should obviously, probably the best thing to do would be to mix down some of this. All right. But it sounds really, you know, it sounds really empty without the fun stuff here. Where did you go, sweet, sweet feedbacks? Yeah, I think I'll just put this reverb on the end, and we'll call it on this one. I think I'll have to try and set the next one up if I'm going to be on the laptop. You know, at least get the next one set up so that we're, you know, not running so much juice. But I should know better, you know, than starting to do some crazy old feedback effects. That's just asking for it right there. So, but anyway, you could load this project up on your own afterwards and you know, mess with it on your own system and do some remixing, do some further processing, you know, have a lot of fun if possible. And yeah, until next time, have some fun. Cool.